The sound of voices singing together to express a common idea and emotion is a fascinating and marvelous activity. We spend a great deal of time getting a vocal ensemble to develop a beautiful tone, sung in tune, at the right dynamic level with precise rhythm and understandable diction. In doing all this, sometimes we ask the voice to do some extraordinary things without a clear understanding of just how it works. With this film, we will attempt to show you parts of the singing voice that, up until now, you may have only heard. One of the strange things about this superb instrument is that it's hidden from us. We can't see it. We can hear it, and if we're quite perceptive, we can feel it vibrate, but we never see it, so it's easy to just guess where it is and how it works. It's right here in the middle of the neck. Put your hand here. You'll feel something harder than a muscle and not as hard as a bone. It is the cartilage which houses the voice. Now yawn. It goes down. Swallow. And it goes up. So the instrument we speak and sing with is located in the middle of the neck and is not fixed, but will raise and lower a bit. You might be interested in watching it work. Listen and watch closely.
As I walked out in the streets of Laredo, as I walked out in Laredo one day, I spied a cowpuncher wrapped up in white linen, wrapped up in white linen and cold as the grave. I see by your outfit that you are a cowboy. These words he did say as I slowly strode by. Come sit here beside me and hear my sad story, for I'm shot in the breast and I know I must die. Oh, beat the drum slowly and play the fife lowly and play the death march as they carry me alone. Take me to the green valley and lay the sod o'er me, for I'm a young cowboy and I know I've done
All the parts of the voice we're going to be speaking about have proper names, just like the proper names we've given things in music, like the staff, time signatures, and key signatures. So we're going to call these voice parts by their proper names instead of Adam's apples and thingamajigs. Here's a model of the human larynx. That's L-A-R-Y-N-X. Sometimes mispronounced larynx. Look at it carefully. It's larynx. Larynx is a Greek word that refers to the upper part of the trachea. The trachea is the windpipe that carries the air to and from the lungs. That's T-R-A-C-H-E-A. Trachea. The larynx, this upper part of the trachea, is not just one thing. It has many parts, some muscles, some ligaments, and some cartilages. All these things work together to do their various jobs. The art of singing is thousands of years old, but only in the last few decades have we had fiber optic technology which allows us to see the voice while it is actually singing. Now let's take a closer look at some of these parts inside the larynx, and we'll do this by means of a fiber optic endoscope. This is the endoscope. Here's a flexible tube which carries the light, and a camera at the other end, which takes pictures that are eventually shown on a video screen. The endoscope enters through the nose, travels along the floor of the nose, and eventually turns down the throat until you're able to see the vocal cords themselves. These white muscular bands are fixed together at one end, and at the other joined to individual cartilages called the arytenoids, one on the right and one on the left. No, we didn't get them mixed up. The endoscope gives us a mirror image, so left is right and right is left. But you know what a mirror image is. The muscles which move the arytenoids, A, R, Y, T, E, N, O, I, D, S, take the vocal cords apart and bring them together. When your physician is speaking to another doctor, you might hear him mention the arytenoids abducting or adducting. He isn't trying to impress you with big words. He's just using proper names to describe a motion. When the arytenoids abduct, A, B, D, U, C, T, the vocal cords open. When the arytenoids adduct, A, D, D, U, C, T, they close. Abduct, open. Adduct, close. Abduct, open. Adduct, close. You may hear someone speak of the false chords. Here they are. The false chords are not, or should not be, involved in making sound. So you ask, what are they for? Though it's sometimes painful for a singer to admit, the larynx's basic function is not to make beautiful music. The primary function of the larynx is that of a valve to close off the trachea to keep the food we eat and the liquid we drink from choking or drowning us. Did you ever strangle when a drop of water went down the wrong way? When that happened, the valve didn't work properly. When we swallow, the cords adduct, come together, and the epiglottis, oops, I didn't point that out. The epiglottis, this thin blade-like thing right here, folds over the closed cords to help seal the trachea. That's E, P, I, G, L, O, T, T, I, S, epiglottis. Another function of the larynx is to trap and hold air in the lungs while we lift heavy loads. When a singer is preparing to sing or is singing, the muscles which tighten to seal off the trachea should not be active. When your singing teacher says, relax the throat, these are the muscles which need to be relaxed. Remember, the adduction of the false cords and the whole process of closing off the trachea to lift or swallow creates a poor singing position. And when a singer tries to sing using these muscles, a lot of tightness and discomfort will occur. Oh, there is one more word we should define, glottis. G-L-O-T-T-I-S. The glottis is not a thing, but a space. The space between the vocal cords is the glottis. Before we go on, let's have a quick review of the vocabulary we've covered. Trachea, the windpipe that carries the air from the lungs. Larynx, the upper end of the trachea, which houses the voice. Vocal cords, the muscular bands which vibrate together to begin the sound which becomes our voice. False cords, part of the valve to close off the trachea. Arytenoids, part of the structure which will open and close the vocal cords. Glottis, the space between the vocal cords. Epiglottis, the thin blade-like cartilage which folds over the cords and helps seal the trachea. Since breath is so important to singing, it's too bad that we can't see it, but we can't, not even with a fiber optic endoscope. But that's the nature of air and the limitation of our eyes. And like singers for thousands of years before us, we'll have to rely on how the breath feels as we look further into the singing process. We might also mention that the camera is looking down on the vocal cords. So if you see the cords moving away from the camera, they're moving down. And if they're coming toward the camera, they're moving up. In order to sing well, the body should always be in a good singing position. Torso erect, chest up, shoulders relaxed, head sitting squarely, chin slightly lowered, weight balanced on both feet. Take a breath with the larynx at an easy yawn position and start the flow of air coordinated with the closing of the vocal cords. And if everything works just right, you should make a sound which is relatively free from tension. So much for the pure vowel sounds. Let's look at some consonants now and watch the action of the chords.
Beep, 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 doot, 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 feet, feet, feet.
The two main things you have to deal with when starting sound are the tension of the chords and the pressure of the breath. And it's extremely important that the breath and the chords have the right attitude toward each other. Have you heard your choir director or singing teacher say, "Don't start the tone with a glottal stroke"? This occurs when you tighten the chords before you send the air through. It looks and sounds like this.
Ah, 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 A, 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 E, 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 O, 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 ooh, ooh, ooh.
See how violently the chords react? See the active false chords? See all that hyperfunction? That's just a big word for overusing the muscles. Hyperfunction doesn't make for beautiful, free singing. In fact, it causes vocal distress. And if you keep it up, you'll find your voice feeling strained and maybe even becoming hoarse. Remember this, if your throat feels tight, something's wrong. If your voice feels strained, something's wrong. And if you become hoarse from singing, something's wrong. Let's just sit back and watch this voice sing.
There was an old man named Michael Finnegan. He had whiskers on his chin again. They fell out and then grew in again. Poor old Michael Finnegan begin again. There was an old man named Michael Finnegan. He went fishing with a pin again. Caught a fish and dropped it in again. Poor old Michael Finnegan begin again. There was an old man named Michael Finnegan. He grew fat and then grew thin again. Then he died and had to begin again. Poor old Michael Finnegan begin again.
I hope these pictures have caused you to think about your voice and how you use it. Maybe there are some questions you would like to ask the doctor.
Doctor, should I sing when I have a sore throat?
Well, Leslie, it all depends on what sore throat means to you. For some patients, sore throat indicates tonsillitis or infection of the back wall of the throat. All those things are uncomfortable to sing with, but they don't affect the vocal quality. And even though it may hurt when you do sing, it doesn't affect the function of the vocal cords. Now, if your voice is becoming hoarse, then that's a different question.
Should I sing when I'm hoarse?
Again, it depends on the type of hoarseness you have. If the hoarseness is progressive and is becoming worse, then definitely you should stop singing. The hoarseness that we worry about is progressive and then becomes painful, and that indicates a swelling of the vocal cords. Sometimes indicates beginning vocal nodules if it occurs frequently. Other times it just indicates a viral laryngitis, which will pass away in 1 or 2 days.
I've heard about vocal nodes. What are they?
Vocal nodes are objects or things that appear on the vocal cords when you use your voice improperly, either through singing or talking. Just like you would, if you bought a shoe that didn't fit well on your foot, you kept on wearing it, you'd wear a blister first, and then if you kept on wearing it, you'd eventually wear a callus. The vocal cords are exactly the same way. You keep on abusing the voice and you get a blister formation, and that generally goes away. You keep on abusing your voice and you'll eventually form a callus on them.
Well, how do I get rid of them?
Well, it depends on how bad they are. If they've just occurred and they're still at the blister stage, then just simply resting the voice can make them go away. If they have progressed past that stage or they're beginning to form a callus, then you'll need to change how you're speaking or singing depending on what caused it in the first place. If they've progressed further than that through further abuse of the voice and become a dense callus, then the only way to totally remove them is with surgery. But of course you'd need to still follow up with changing either how you speak or sing, since that is what caused them in the first place.
Can I take anything to clear up my voice just before I sing, like lemon juice?
Well, things like lemon juice or other types of material that singers gargle sometimes make the throat feel good. And certainly if it makes you feel good and you believe that you're performing better, it's not going to hurt you at all. But actually the vocal cords lie in front of where we swallow. And so things that you gargle or swish around your mouth or throat are actually not going to touch the vocal cords, although they may make the throat feel a lot better.
What about medicines? Are there any that would hurt my throat?
Yes, unfortunately there are, and many of them are included in over-the-counter medicines that some people take because they want to clear up a cold, for example, and the medications often contain antihistamines. People think that because they can dry up the drainage coming down the back of the throat and can sing or talk better. But unfortunately, what most of these medications do is they drop the mucus that we normally have on the vocal cords and make the vocal cords very dry. And that produces swelling when we try to talk, and in turn produces hoarseness. Also, of course, any type of smoking is extremely bad for the larynx and the vocal cords because the smoking has a direct irritating or drying effect. There are some types of things that people can use in their homes to try to make the house smell better, for example, that are also can be irritating to the throat. And basically we try to tell professional singers and speakers to stay away from anything that they're inhaling that goes down the throat, because they all tend to irritate and dry the throat somewhat.
There are other professionals besides your singing teacher and your physician who care for your voice and have the knowledge to help you. Speech-language pathologists who deal with voice rehabilitation are available to you for advice and counseling. Maybe you'd like to ask some more questions.
Doctor, could I hurt my voice just talking to my friends?
Oh yes, particularly in noisy environments like long car trips or plane trips. Under these conditions, you talk louder than you usually do and you have poor posture, so this puts strain on your vocal cords. Another related problem is the air conditioning on cars and planes. You should drink lots of liquids since the air conditioners reduce the humidity you need to keep your voice well lubricated and moist.
Well, the choir takes a lot of bus trips. Does that mean I can hurt my voice when I talk on the bus?
Very much so. When riding on a bus, everyone is talking. The noise level is very high. In fact, it's so high we're not aware of the strain that you're putting on your voice.
Well, does it hurt me to talk when I'm hoarse?
When you're hoarse for a few weeks, the voice will develop a manner of getting the sound out that attempts to get around the problem causing the hoarseness. Much of what we do with the voice is learned and learned unconsciously. You may well unconsciously learn improper vocal habits under these conditions. When the hoarseness goes away, the bad pattern may remain. These are what we call functional problems that may well lead to other voice disorders or poor vocal technique.
How important is good posture for singing and speaking?
If we improve posture, we improve the coordination of the whole mechanism, or as some say, the attitude of the various parts toward each other. If we can improve respiration technique, it takes undue tension off the larynx, letting it do its work unencumbered by having to make up for inadequate support somewhere else. Leslie, an easy way to look at a good sitting posture is to acquire a poor third position for you dancers. Take a third position and then relax and sit down. Another way is what we call a bad cello position for you musicians. Take a position as though you were going to be playing a cello. Little reminders like this help you develop good habits. Better technique grows out of good habits. Teachers and therapists spend a lot of time breaking up bad habits.
But what about resting your voice, like not talking or singing for weeks or months?
Therapists generally teach techniques of vocalizing gently in a normal, restricted conversation. We use terms like vocal management. Total voice rest doesn't work very well and is considered counterproductive in most situations, except in some specific post-surgical cases.
Tell me this, how do I know when I'm supposed to go to the doctor for help with my voice?
Hoarseness lasting for 2 weeks or more, or pain or discomfort in the voice itself should be investigated by a medical evaluation. You should seek out a physician who specializes in disorders of the ear, nose, and throat, and in particular, call ahead and find out if this physician is interested in the voice and has experience in it.
We've only shown you one of several important elements of singing. We've barely mentioned breath, and we haven't mentioned the resonators or articulators at all. To be as fine a singer as you wish to become, you need to have a good fundamental understanding of all these things. No, the fiber optic endoscope is not going to take the place of the singing teacher. No, understanding the function of the arytenoids is not going to fix your high B flat. You're going to have to use your ears and be perceptive enough to feel sound, just like the singers of the past have done. No machine will make you sing on pitch or subdivide beats for you or make your diction understandable. No instrument will eliminate vocal hyperfunction. You have to learn to do all these things yourself. We hope that seeing the vocal cords at work singing will help you with a more accurate mental picture of what's going on when you sing, and that this more accurate mental picture will help you achieve a free singing style more efficiently. Just knowing the proper names of the voice and something of how they should work will not make you a rich and famous singer. But if you're going to sing, doesn't it make sense to understand the voice the best you can? If you keep practicing and keep learning how to use the voice, you should make significant progress. You may not do everything perfectly in 20 minutes, or 20 days, or 20 months. But in 20 years, you should be great.